Welcome back again. This is Y254 and we're very, very excited that you stayed. Asante sana, you did not change. And yes, we are here once again. This is the Empowerment Cafe. You can find us on Y254 at Facebook, Y254 channel, pale, X and TikTok, Instagram. We have our question today and we have whatever it is that we're discussing there. So ingia pale, engage with us, let us know what you think and what you have. Now today we have a handsome gentleman in the house, and he is a lawyer, he's an advocate, and he advocates for the girl child. He's someone who fights for justice, and every time he's always there fighting, and we've seen his voice all over the nation trying to advocate for justice. He's also the executive director of the Ma Girls Foundation. In the house today we have Gavin. Good morning, Gavin.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm also doing very fine, thank you. Karibu sana at Y254. We are very, very excited to have you. To begin with, maybe you would tell us what are your personal experiences that have shaped you to really love and go for social justice.
First and foremost, thank you so much, Eliza, for having me this morning. And on behalf of the Magal Foundation and on behalf of my own CEO, Madam Tamara Risiato, a 20-year-old who I think is one of the youngest CEOs in Kenya. She is the CEO and the founder of the Magal Foundation. She was supposed to be here, but I stepped in for her. And at Magal Foundation, it's a conversation that we started 3 years ago, although by myself I started it a long time ago in campus, I think in 2019. What I used to do during my birthdays is that I used to visit areas that are privileged societies and counties that children are facing multiple issues through distribution of sanitary towels, provision of renewable towels, and also mentorship programs in institutions. So I started it a long time ago, but then we gave birth to Magal Foundation with Tamara Risiato 3 years ago. And it's true, what happened, what I have seen within societies through my visits across Baringo County, across Siaya and other counties, that led to us to rethink about social justice and cultural values of today.
Okay, that's wonderful. So can you tell us what empowering girls means to you personally as a person?
First and foremost, I come from a family of around 20 plus.
Wow.
And most of them are girls. And one thing that I believe in a society that is not only just, but also appreciates the dignity and the value that every human being has on earth and in heaven. Mm-hmm. And the very reason why I tend to agree mostly with those that who believe that empowerment on women and young girls is justice. It should not be looked like charity, because historically there are practices that have left them behind, and these practices are things that I feel that we should, as a society and as a people, find a way to do away with them and fix towards the 21st century that we are in today.
Well, someone would come to you and ask, okay, you're saying that you advocate for ladies, and then a gentleman comes out and says, "Metuachilia sisi, how about us? What about us?" What is your perspective, or what do you have to say in regards to that?
First and foremost, it will be cognizant to understand and appreciate that as Magal Foundation, we are deeply rooted on 4 thematic areas. One of them is education. And in our education, through mentorship programs, we do not discriminate on whether we are speaking to young boys or we are speaking to young girls, because it's a society that breeds certain norms that is either gender sensitive or not. So we do that. The second thing we do sexual, reproductive and health rights, mm-hmm. especially on young girls in societies that, have gone through such issues. The other one is about climate resilience and climate action, which is neither gender sensitive or otherwise. It is something that is in all genders. And the last one is about economic empowerment, where we empower both young women, We also empower girls, and we also empower the boys outside there through various activities as demonstrated in our socials.
Okay, well, yeah, that's because actually, personally, niki-interact na watu, nasikianga wakiuliza, siku hizi everyone is saying about girl child, kila mtu anatetea wasichana, what about sisi vijana? But like you've explained it, I hope someone who's listening pata your own perspective, because yes, sisi wote, we should care about everyone, and all of us should be included in growth, you know, and empowerment. If we get straight to the issue where the Ma Foundation came powerfully against the heinous act against that young girl in Narok, what prompted you to really go and give this strong response towards that?
First and foremost, I want to regret whatever had happened to Millicent Rotiken. Millicent Rotiken is a 22-year-old expecting mother of 2 from Narok North in Kareta village. And whereas I do not have the actual facts as to what happened, but I want to appreciate those that made it come to limelight, those that made it receive the outrage that it received. Starting with Sangida, I think is a social media personality. He shared the story, and the act was not only barbaric, but it was very cowardly. It is an act and an omission that should not have a place in our nation, in our society today. Because what happened to Millicent is that Millicent made a choice and chose a path to take as an individual. However, we are told that Millicent was previously married to someone else with 2 kids. And Millicent, along the way, chose a different path and went to a different man's home because she had fallen in love with that man, and she chose to live with that man. But a choice was made because the first gentleman had paid dowry, and the family wanted to keep the honors of the family. And the brothers whom I met to understand are not even the real brothers, but the step brothers, chose, to try to bring her back to their first husband. But she decided that I will not want to take that direction because she never felt safe from there. You see, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that you must first have that person be at a survival and protective mode. A person who is not safe cannot even have a sense of belonging to somewhere.
Yeah.
But because the family chose to think and believe that the dowry that was paid by the first gentleman, I'm told there are 3 cows and probably a cocktail of sheep and goats, but they've taken it as a license to invite violence on her. In that, they think that dowry and taking her back to the man will regain the honors of the family, whereas the main thing it does is that to just disparage and kill that family. But she made a choice. That choice was not respected, and we believe, all of us, and we appreciate what the CS did, we appreciate what the security agencies have done, that we should not just discuss it in boardrooms, we should not just hold press conferences. It must move, it must structural changes. We must do arrests, we must do persecutions. We must find a way to send a message to those with such habits, because that case is not only an isolated case. It is a reflection, a mirror of what happens on a daily basis. So many people are not talking, but I can assure you so many girls go through those things. Because what they've decided to do is that, instead of going the legal way, they've decided to practice what we call cultural way of doing things. Because in our culture, in the Maasai land culture, because I'm a Maasai, what is important is about the respect and the honor of the family. And they will try to bring in alternative dispute resolution in a community way, of talking, not going the legal
without
way.
Going to the government or seeking the justice that's...
Exactly. And you understand, Kenya is a country birthed the 2010 Constitution. The new dispensation of the law has provided for us that, not everything that is cultural and logical to you is legal and constitutional. And the law is very clear in Article 2, Sub-Article 4, that any law that is inconsistent with the written law stands void and illegal. But they do not understand, because they have no knowledge about what the law says. Because there's you grow in savannah, what is important is the law.
When we speak about the law and legal forms, what legal forms or reforms do you think people should really put so much emphasis on in regards to the whole issue?
First and foremost, I don't think as a country and as a people there is any gap in terms of legislations and provisions within the law. Kenya has enormous and beautiful safeguards within the law that the Constitution 2010 has provided. Parliament has also provided statutory laws through the certain acts of Parliament, the Children Act, the Domestic Violence Act. It has provided certain safeguards in law. But the problem is that there is laxity in adoption of these laws. Because if you go, for instance, to Narok North today, to walk to a police station will take you close to 6 to 7 hours. To access any form of justice within that area is very difficult.
And maybe that's why people are deciding to just take like matters in their own hands.
No, it's because they've grown in an environment, let me tell you one thing first. When you grow in savannah and in certain cultural practices, is that what is more important to you is that you can leave a classroom at 12 noon or 11 a.m. and join your friends who are having a traditional dance along the way. And you can treat your teachers like your peers and anything, because what is important to you is your age-mate leader. That one you cannot compromise the kind of respect you give to that person. That is why culture has refused to outlive itself. It has refused to evolve. People have refused to understand and appreciate that the 21st century and the 2010 Constitution has provided for certain dispensations that our culture and the culture of Africans must evolve with. But if we do not do civic education enough, right from national level to the county level, we will remain having Millicent Rotken's story on a repeat mode. We must first appreciate that there is laxity in adoption and implementation of the existing laws and frameworks. We must accept that there is gaps in civic education. People do not appreciate and understand that they are guided by law, not cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like you're saying, this is something that is in the community as a large. It's not, it's not very easy for you to just root something out of a people, something that they've grown with, something that is part of their life, it's part of them. But then we need them to understand that, like you're saying, we are in the 21st century and things are different, things are being run differently. We need to live like human beings, like everyone else. So what idea or what do you think we should do in terms of education, making this known to everyone, because now since we need everyone to understand this is how we are, we have evolved, we are in the 21st century, this is what we're supposed to do. So what should the government, I'd say, or the community as a whole do to walk into the path of evolving and understanding that there is a way we are supposed to now start living our lives?
I think there's one thing that we need to appreciate and understand, that Kenya is a country that has semi and arid lands, especially pastoralist communities, both in northeastern and some parts of this country, that there is structural marginalization in them, that access to justice, to services, and even inadequate or no opportunities for them create such environment. These are people that go through climatic stresses, drought. These are people that, when they engage in their activities, it gives birth to certain certain harmful practices. Because when a livelihood collapses and stress gets into the family, it invites violence, it invites early marriages. Mind you, Millicent Rotken is 22 years old, has 2 kids, and is expectant. I was seeing a presser this morning from a gentleman who was arrested, who was involved who is said to be a formerly husband, that she married her 8 years ago. So rough mathematics tells you that she might have actually been 14 or something when she got married, if the allegations are true from what they are saying, because that is the presser that they made. That tells you that a choice was made for her, She never appreciated and enjoyed the safeguards that the laws provided for her, the safeguard of dignity, the choice, you know, to be in a position to tell what she wants and what she doesn't want. And when such stresses are involved in such areas, they become prone to such activities. So if we cannot push resources, build more safeguards through devolution, because the reason why devolution came into space is to try take those opportunities to that common person down there. But you'll realize that those people still do not understand and appreciate what happens. Yeah. But if we cannot, as a society and as a country, find a way to, you know, bring those people to the 21st century through civic education, we will continue holding presses and staying in boardrooms, making money, while having conversations on how to end it.
And nothing actually is going to change or be done.
Yeah, but I can assure you today, my sister, if you see the Mass Island, mostly people have changed. Things have changed, the world have changed, people have evolved. But there's that still cocktail small of people who still believe, you know, cultural practice. And you know, culture, it gives us an identity.
Yeah, it's part of us.
Culture should protect us. Culture should be a safeguard to certain practices. But the moment we use it to violate rights and, you know, to try to make amends with our own shortcomings, then there's a likelihood that humanity suffers. Yeah.
We saw you calling out on Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen and other leaders in regards to the same issue. So have you seen any response to the same so far, or have they taken any steps in regards to the same issue?
All right. First and foremost, I appreciate what the Minister of Interior has done so far through OCPD, I think, in Narok Central, and also what the CS Gender has done, because as we speak today, I think one person has been arrested, the 4 are still at large, and I think, and the government has been very clear on it. National Police Service Commission has released a statement. ODPP had given a notice that has to be done. And the reason why we did it is because, like I said earlier, there is laxity in adoption and implementation of these existing laws. Because if we cannot put those laws and safeguards into practice through such an event, then it means those oppressors and the perpetrators of that act will still feel protected within the society.
Yeah.
If serious actions are not taken on them.
They just know nothing is going to be done.
I mean, we will just sit down, you know, tutoe makosa uambiwe, wewe toa makosa ya ng'ombe mbili, juu mlimpiga, hiyo maneno inafanya nini? Inaisha. But what are you telling someone who is going through such a thing 15 meters away from where that Millicent was beaten?
And also, you know, something else is, me as a girl, nikiona, for example, this was done to her, akaenda akareport, lakini hakuna kitu imefanyika. And now, actually, those people who were the perpetrators, watakuja hata kumwambia, hakuna mali tulipelekwa, nothing was done on us. So it means that, hata mimi, in as much as I'm suffering, na nataka speak out, kusema there's this and that, I'll be like, why should I even speak about it? Because kama fulani hakusaidiwa, mimi ndo nitasaidiwa. And now actually it worsens the situation, because the moment they go speak out and nothing is done, and they are hurt more actually. Just sasa you'll be like, ulikuwa unasema, ulikuwa unafikiria utapelekwa wapi ama utafanyiwa nini, you know, and then they come back hurting them again. Mimi nitaogopa pia hata kuongea, because I'm like, what if I go speaking out and then wanipate tena, you know? Yeah.
You see, the problem is this, is that when certain institutions that are meant to safeguard humanity and to implement the existing laws, sometimes some of them get drawn by politics and by some kind of traditions along the way. Because you'll find a chief will be the one asking the OCS, you know, wache maneno tunde tutatue kinyumbani. Unanielewa sasa? Wanasema wacha tutatue kinyumbani, hii tutamaliza na wazee. Then when an individual goes again to report such a case, the police will be very quick to tell that person, you know, hii mambo
Peleka kwa chief.
hii peleka kwa chief, mambo ya nini
Ya kijiji.
ya wazee. But we are not in that society anymore. We've moved as a country. We've moved as a people. There is a reason why on the 27th of August 2010 we promulgated the new constitution. We introduced new safeguards. But if those people that are meant to safeguard, those people that are meant to implement, do not take that matter very seriously. And that is why in our presser we made it very clear. Those that were supposed to take care of that young girl called Rotiken must also face some kind of action. Where were they when that was happening?
Yeah.
Mind you, in those areas, even wazee wa nyumba kumi participate in early marriages themselves.
Ndo wanajua ni
Ah,
nani
wenyewe
anafaa
wanajua. They even get invited to those functions to negotiate dowry. But if we cannot put on structures that try to, you know, elevate people, make people understand that that is wrong, we will not change it. Like I said, it will be on a repeat mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a country or as a society as a whole, I think we have so much we're supposed to do. And if they, like, let's treat each other as human beings. Unajua kwa sababu when you look at it, how would you go against your fellow human being, whether you are step siblings or something, in such a manner or such a way, you know? Speaking of the Girl Foundation, apart from you speaking out and looking for justice for these people, what else do you do as an organization?
First and foremost, we are a non-profit organization. And before I tackle that, there's a question that you had asked earlier that we must take others as also human beings. And you know, it was very unfortunate for me to learn that the people were beating our own brothers. Because what a brother, a culture that dehumanizes girls and daughters is not a culture to be preserved. It is a culture that we should do away with. But they cannot understand and appreciate that there is value in life. There is dignity in publicly doing such a thing to a person. And if it can only happen publicly like that, how many times has that happened privately on her?
Secret.
You see, it has happened a lot. Only that someone decided to record it and use social media. So we must also, you know, I'll still go to the issue of civic education, people to understand it. And as Girl Foundation, first, we are a non-profit organization, 3 years old. Like I said, we have 4 thematic areas on education, sexual, reproductive, and health rights, and we also in climate action, we are in economic empowerment. What we do is that we organize mentorship programs in learning institutions. We speak to young girls. We do provide sanitary towels to young girls from vulnerable societies or areas. We've been in West Pokot, we've been in Baringo, we've been in Narok, we've been in Kajiado, we've been in Siaya, we've been in Trans Nzoia, we've been in Samburu. And for us as a foundation, the vision is very simple. We must give an alternative, a lively way of, a livelihood alternative to an individual that will want to make a choice in life. Because if that person is not in a position to have an option in life, to have an option of walking away from violence, to have an option of walking away from something that she does not appreciate and values, then we will not be doing justice to the vision of the foundation. Yeah. And that is why we encourage, you know, partners and sister organizations to find ways to, you know, impact directly on the safety of that person, give that person a sense of belonging. And that is where now you can generate potential activities for them. You cannot empower someone who is not safe in the village. Yeah, someone who's going through violence, and you want to empower that person to give him to do things that cannot be done with. Start with safety, survival, protect the survival, and then give that person a sense of belonging by understanding and appreciating that there is dignity in life and there is dignity in everything that person does. Yeah. That's what we do as a foundation, and also with our sister organizations and partners that we work with.
Okay, maybe I'd ask, because you've said you've grown up in that area, you know everything, like the culture, how everything is done, how these people interact, how these people relate, you know. What is a legal reform that is urgently needed right now in regards to the issue that happened to that girl, and also for the purpose of the safety of everyone else who might be going through the same thing? What is the urgent thing you would want being implemented at the moment to deal with that?
First and foremost, it's not like there is, like I said earlier, that there is a legal gap. It's all about implementation. It's all about the laxity in adoption implementation. If we cannot, put into practice the existing written law to safeguard the lives of people, then there is no need for us to create more laws, because creating more laws, to me, will create bureaucratic ways of having perpetrators find a loophole to run away with their activities and omissions. But the moment if we put to practice, implement and adopt the existing laws, and have those institutions like in our police stations we introduce desks, gender-based violence desks, where people can report and people can be engaged in a manner. And we also train the police officers, because if today a young mother calls to complain about GBV, the likelihood of a police officer in a semi-arid and arid area to send that person back on a scale of 1 to 10 should be 9. Because they will believe, it's just a small quarrel, it will go back to people. Yeah. How many cases of GBV have we documented, and how many cases of those that have been documented have actually led to prosecutions? Very few, I can assure you. Because in those areas, people prefer to do community alternative dispute mechanisms. They prefer restoring unity and peace among the family.
Everything is working out. Sisi hatuna shida, tuko sawa.
Those are people who don't even believe in the existence of LGBTQ. You don't go to those areas today and introduce such a thing, because the chances of them beating you up again is so high. So they must appreciate that, we've moved and we must take action. What those institutions, especially the National Interior, Ministry of Gender, they should come up with safeguards, safe houses. County governments, they should find ways of putting funding. You cannot fund opportunities if people have no civic education. You must give them education first.
Why do we need this? What's the importance?
But they don't, without doing it, if you just put resources, let me tell you, those people of that department will just be taking home per DMs and holding meetings with villagers, and once they leave there, culture is the law. It overrides the constitution.
Everything else, yeah.
Dowry overrides dignity, and violence becomes a way of punishment to change the status quo.
Yeah.
But if we cannot put into practice and bring those culprits and use Millicent's case is a tip of an iceberg to send a message to those individuals that should you engage in such activities,
you will face the same thing these people have faced.
Exactly.
Maybe to look at Millicent's case, let me think in a layman's perspective. Labda mtu mwenye alikuwa na record the video, in their mind they were for just showing what happens, or they really didn't think any action would be taken at think. Lakini sasa with the fact that they took this video and justice is now being implemented and she's getting the help. Now, when we are in the 21st century, meaning internet, social media is accessible to most or all of us. Would you advocate or would you advise that anywhere you see such incidents or such a thing happening, either in the same way or in a different way, but it's illegal or it's against humanity, would you advise people to document or record it and post it on air or on their social media platforms or in such a way? What, you as a person, what do you think?
First and foremost, I want to thank the person who recorded it. I'm made to understand it was the latter husband then, the guy now whom she had moved in with. Well, he chose to record it himself because the best he could do is to record. He couldn't intervene. Otherwise, he could have been beaten also. And you see, sexual gender-based violence is in different forms. And whether the one that was recorded is just very small of what is happening today. Those are things that happen on a daily basis in those areas. But take, for instance, Millicent. Millicent was recorded being beaten and being stripped of her dignity publicly. And a lot has happened so far. It will not be easy to reintegrate Millicent with that society. Because first they will think that the choice of her kuwashtaki ndugu zake and everything ni swala ambalo si nzuri kwao. First ataface stigma, atakuwa stigmatized. So we must also provide solutions to people who go through such situations. And what happens in such societies is that opportunities, government has to drive resources to those people. Let them understand and appreciate the kind of things that are happening in this country. Because you may sit in Nairobi and talk about justice, but you will forget that there is a young girl called Millicent Rotiken in Gareta village in Narok North who also want to access that justice, who will want to walk very far away to access a police officer, who will have to walk very far away to access education. Because if a choice was taken from her 14 years ago, taking that person back to be a 14-year-old girl will not be possible.
Yeah.
You've already, a society had already made a mistake long time ago. But how do we rectify that? Because there are so many young mothers out there who've decided, to get married off because, the parents sees it. Like, I don't have enough money kumpeleka shule. Na huyu nikimpeana nikipata ng'ombe kadhaa. Nitasomesha huyu kijana. Alafu msichana afanye nini? Yeye aolewe. Akienda apigwe, arudi nyumbani, atasema wewe enda kaa vizuri na mzee, wacha mambo mingi.
Yeah.
You understand? You must also teach parents that, there is life. It's not always about getting dowry. Dowry is not a license for violence. Dowry is not, it's a gift of appreciation. It's a token of appreciation. It should not be treated like it is a license to violence, a license to own someone. People are not property. These are people enjoy dignity. They have inherent rights. And should you feel by any chance that, your dowry, your cows are more important than someone's life, you can just ask them back. Upewe urudishiwe, then you go look for someone of your age whom you can talk to that way. But visiting violence on that person, whether old or young, should not even be an option also. Yeah.
When we think about, or there are some stories we've come across, sisi wenye si wa Masai, outside here, and we get to hear that in my land, a man would go, akona mkuki, anaidunga hapo nje, just as a sign to show that I'm the one who's sleeping in this house tonight. So does that also, is it being practiced till today?
No. You see, the reason why I said earlier that we've outlived certain practices like FGM, like the one that you're saying already, and conformed to what is happening today, should not make us not conform on fighting gender-based violence. That is no longer happening. It's a practice that used to happen a long time ago, and it's not happening today. In any case, if it happens, trust you me, it is by choice. So,
like, it's like imefutwa kabisa, it's not there anymore. Sasa saizi itakuwa like a story. In the olden days, it used to be done.
Absolutely, it is not. It is just something that will remain in the books of history for generations to come. Okay. To actually learn.
So, in the same line, what about polygamy? Do people still go marrying a number of wives, or pia hiyo wameachana nayo at some point?
Is an individual polygamy is a choice. Now, what people don't understand, in polygamy, huwezi oa more than one wife if you do not have the resources to maintain them. Hiyo kitambo mtu mwenye alikuwa na ng'ombe mingi and stuff ndio angekuwa na uwezo ya kuoa
a number of wives.
But if you decide, you are struggling and you want to marry, I don't think it will happen today. Because the economy and the situation has changed. But they understand. They will watu kama wajasomesha, watu ambao wajapata civic education, hawa kuzaa, it's normal.
And they feel like having many wives is asserting dominance.
Yeah, for them dominance is more important than protection. That's what they believe in, but that is the change that we are calling upon. That we should not, that let us not talk about masculinity in terms of dominance. Let us bring masculinity in terms of responsibility, protection, and productivity. How productive are you as a man or a brother or an uncle to that family, or to your sisters and siblings? How responsible are you to them? How protective are you to them? Are you ready to safeguard their dignity and rights and find opportunities for them instead of creating problems for them? And that is the issue. And that is what I think should be the conversation going forward.
Now, we've heard that in most times, wasichana, they are handpicked kutoka kitambo. This is going to be married by this person. So as you growing up, you already have a man that is your so-called husband or someone you already betrothed to. So is that also practiced, ama hiyo pia it's set aside?
Whereas I do not intend to make a pronunciation that it is not happening, but it is it's a practice that has been overtaken by time. It's a coward and lazy practice. Girls should be allowed to make choices, should be allowed to take their own paths, should be allowed to make choices of the people they intend to fall in love with and marry. But there are practices that used to culturally make sense long time ago. But you see, not everything that is cultural and logical amounts to it being morally right and legal. You get it?
Yeah.
Those are things that we strongly advise against, and I think, to the best of my knowledge, conscience, and practice, I don't think it is happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've said your organization has been there for like 3 years now. So, in the case where you find ladies who have gone through FGM, or have you found such cases, and how do you handle that?
Whereas female genital mutilation is a practice that is, silently happening. That one, it's not just happening in Maasai land also.
Yeah.
We should also appreciate that it happens in so many. If you go to Korea today, it happens. If you go to certain areas, the areas that are still happening. And it is not only in Maasai land. And if the existing laws and the safeguards that have been put in place by governments and institutions that are meant to protect and safeguard human beings and girls, if we cannot be serious and find follow-ups on how do we end it, because FGM back then, to them, if today you go down there, you find someone to explain to you what was the importance of doing female genital mutilation, they'll have good reasons to you. They will try to convince you, no matter how erroneous they are. Yeah, no matter how erroneous their argument will look like. But it is ni swala ambalo limepitwa na wakati, ni ukiritimba mkubwa sana. Na ni mambo ambayo inatakikana to speak against and to allow people to make their own choices today. But I'm happy to report that, as Magal Foundation, we've been in Narok, we've been in Kajiado, we've interacted with people, and we've interacted with girls, and minimal practices is such happening, but inafanyika. That one we cannot say that haifanyiki. It happens. But chiefs wanallow ifanyike. Watu wa nyumba 10 wanallow ifanyike. Our own parents wanakubali ifanyike. But if they cannot have civic education to understand what the consequences of doing such things, hawezi elewa. Watadhani tu hawa ndio wako right.
Yeah, that's
because
the norm.
That's the norm, because they have no idea what it is.
Maybe you can share with us, because I tend to imagine you have handled several and many cases. So what case stood out for you till today? You can sit and say, in this organization, hii case inayo, it was one of a kind.
Hey, ni mingi. I remember in the year 2020, I went to somewhere in Nakuru. I think it was called Banita. I had a group of around 123 girls. We came from Moi University then. And we had gone to check sanitary towels and have a conversation with those young girls between the age of, it was between the age of 13 and 19. And it was very shocking to me to learn that transactional sex for pads was something normal to them. Because I did ask them, out of 123, nani baba yake ashaimbaia pad ama mzazi? 19 of them only. Okay, no mkono. Nikauliza wengine what happened? What happens? How do you guys access it? Wanasema boyfriends. Nauliza na nyinyi ni wadogo mko shule bado, where do you guys get the money to buy? They tell us tuko na kaduda na huku ni kila mtu ako na mtu wake boda boda. Anakuletea pad jioni, mnamalizana alafu. Look at that such a thing.
Yeah.
It is very saddening, and if you see such a situation, si kupenda kwake. Those are people who are grown in. They are left with
no choice.
They are left with no choice, because they even places wanaume cannot discuss issue ya sanitary towels na menstruation with their daughters, not even sex. But it's a conversation that we must have.
Yeah.
And we must agree to be included in the curriculum, because in the savannah, for instance, the curriculum in the bush and traditional celebrations is more important than curriculum at darasa. And if that is what they are taught and that's what they see, they'll end up following that route. So that was one of the cases, and many more cases that I do not wish to talk more about, because the others are sensitive, the others are still within the confines of the law.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm certain and pretty is that they will get justice, and justice will be served hot and ready to those that perpetrate it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe what would be your last remarks to the society, to a girl out there, maybe they are going through something and hata wanaogopa kuisema, they're like, will justice really be served to me? Or to the community as a whole, what should they do? Or to the government, what would your last remarks be?
First, I will first thank you for having us, and having me here. I would like to say that, I want to tell that young person over there, that person who has gone through GBV, that person who is likelihood to undergo GBV, that there is a safe place for them. Just speak out, talk, have a conversation with friends. And those that are in organized groups or formations that have friends that are violent, people who practice GBV, start talking to such people, engage them, let them understand that it is wrong. And as Magal Foundation, we will continue to advocate for the rights of the young people and girls, women, and we intend to partner with organizations, individuals, government, and also the good people of Kenya to find ways of rectifying the cultural practices that are still harmful and undocumented. Because if we cannot do that, then such practices will still continue. And we are very open as Magal Foundation. You can actually reach us through my CEO, Tamara Risiato, our socials, myself. So we are very ready. Please talk to us. We'll come to you. We will document, and we will let the institutions that are supposed to safeguard it serve them hot.
Can you tell us the social media platforms of the Magal Foundation? And then you also tell us about your social media platforms.
Instagram is the Magal Foundation. All socials, the Magal Foundation. And mine is Gavin Lemaya, HSC.
Thank you so much, Gavin, for being here. That has been such an empowering and amazing conversation here in the Empowerment Cafe. We have been with Gavin, and I know you have, and I hope, by the way, guys, I'm skizy too. I hope you are implementing whatever it is that is happening. And if you know of someone somewhere mwenye anateseka ama anaumia, please, let's help each other. Like we're saying, humanity is very important. Human life is very, very, very important. That has been it for the Empowerment Cafe. Stay tuned. We are coming back with more.